Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to discuss the energies of Mercury retrograde in Taurus, which began on April 21st at 15 degrees of Taurus and will last until May 14th when Mercury travels back to 5 degrees of Taurus. So in your natal astrology chart, you would be identifying where you have 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus, which house or houses this includes, as this is where the Mercury retrograde is showing up for you and where you are being guided to slow down, to minimize, simplify, look at what's in front of you, what are your priorities, and to focus. I'll be talking even more about those themes in today's show, but first I wanted to guide you to identify where this is occurring for you in your chart. Now on my YouTube channel, I do have a tutorial video that teaches you how to find a degree point. So if you need assistance in identifying where this Mercury retrograde is occurring for you, please check out that video. And it's literally called How to Find a Degree Point in Your Astrology Chart. Now, this Mercury retrograde is actually a beautiful gift from the universe, and I'm going to explain why that is here. And the first reason is that it's occurring during eclipse season. We are moving through our first set of eclipses in 2023, and Mercury retrograde in Taurus is bringing in practicality, realism, basics, what is really a priority and what is not. So this can help us navigate eclipse energies with a sense of understanding what is worthy of your time, energy, and attention, where it's worth investing your focus and your energy, and also what is a distraction, where too many things are maybe pulling at you or pushing you or wanting you to go in multiple directions. Mercury in Taurus needs time and space to think, to process, to sit in something. There's also support here for calming down anything that can come up through eclipse season. Now, eclipses are happening in Aries and in Scorpio. These are energies that are about your emotions, what is rising up in you, what you're feeling and sensing, and they are both ruled by Mars. And Mars is traveling through Cancer right now. So there is actually a lot of emotional energy circulating, coming up and moving through us. But this Mercury retrograde in Taurus, along with the Sun traveling in Taurus during this full Mercury retrograde period, means that we have support in the Taurus areas of our chart to simplify and come back to center. So some of the themes that come up when we have a focus on Taurus energies is that we want time to ourself to fortify our energy, to feel stronger, to move into more ways of stabilizing ourselves, being self-reliant. Also, perhaps needing to back away or distance yourself from anything that feels too much. There's a retraction energy here, a pulling back, needing time to just be in your own energy, to just be in your own head, perhaps, to process, to think, to reconsider, to even just give yourself a break, to give yourself some downtime, and to lean back into what it means for you to trust a process in a way that feels clear, simple, strong. How can you basically invest your energy in trusting yourself more and allowing other things to just be or to play out how they may, or to separate yourself from anything that feels too overwhelming and too much. Now, easier said than done, of course, but these are some of the themes that are supported during this Taurus season and also during Mercury retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde is covering, as I mentioned, 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus in your chart. And what is really beautiful here is that this is actually an opportunity to look at areas of your life that have been previously disrupted when Uranus in Taurus was in this part of your chart previously. Uranus in Taurus has been in the first half of the Taurus degree points and moving through what needs to change. This brings up chaos. It feels destabilizing. It can feel like there's a lot happening where you've been on a roller coaster in your life and in your world. Well, Uranus in Taurus is not going to come back to these degree points. In fact, Uranus is going to stay now in the second half of Taurus. So this particular Mercury retrograde is an opportunity to do some cleanup, to look at what has shifted and changed for you in very significant ways, especially since 2021 and 2022. And now this Mercury retrograde could be an opportunity for you to just assess, what do I need to do now? Okay, my life has changed in these ways. My energy has shifted in big ways, or I've experienced a lot of turbulence in particular parts of my life. Now I'm going to let things settle. I'm going to allow a calming energy to come in and come through. And this Mercury retrograde is going to give you some opportunities to think through what you need to take care of. Maybe these are even things you've had to put off for a few years. Maybe there's things that you never had the energy or the time for, or it kept changing, it kept shifting. Almost like as soon as you thought you had a grasp on something, it all changed again anyways. Well, now the energy is going to be smoother and calmer in this part of your life. And it's an opportunity to look at, what do I need to do next? What's the plan? Mercury in Taurus wants a plan, wants something it can rely on that's solid and clear. We're going to do this and we're going to stick to it. We're going to see this through to the finish line. This is what I want to build. So during this time period, there might be things that you finally have energy for that you didn't previously think you would get to. There is definitely a catch-up energy here where you're ready to focus on some things now that you weren't able to take care of over the past 2 years. And that could require just sitting in your energy and really looking at what matters, what is really a priority, not what do I have to rush off and take care of because someone else says it's a priority. What matters to me? Mercury in Taurus is a realistic thinker that typically wants to do something based on what you need. And so there is an independence here that's also internal. So there could be some things that you are considering, sitting with, reflecting on, and just deciding, how much do I still want this? Is this still a priority? Maybe last year or the year before it was, and you were ready to sign the contract, sign the check, put resources towards it, do the thing. And now you're like, wait a minute, let me really look at this. Let me really decide here if I truly want this, or if I'm understanding that it's no longer something that's important to me and I'm okay with letting it be and shifting my energy and focus elsewhere. Mercury in Taurus also brings our attention to financial matters, to what is in front of us that we are responsible for, that we need to take care of, looking at if you still want to invest or pay the bills in this particular area of your life, meaning Taurus is about what you own, what you purchase, what you accumulate and possess. And there could be some things here that you're understanding are no longer needed. You don't want to buy any more of that. You don't want to put money towards a certain subscription service. So you could be looking at your finances, This is also about looking at your creativity, where Taurus is about how we create a life and how we extend that out into our environment and beyond. So there is a reassessment here of what you're creating, not just on a bigger scale, which can certainly be the case, but more on a daily basis of where am I using my energy that feels good, that is rewarded, that validates who I am, what I want, what matters to me in my life? Or am I realizing it's just wasted energy, it's not paying off, there's no ROI, there's no return on investment, or I'm not even getting the sense that this is even resonating with me anymore. So this is a time period where it feels like it's a beautiful opportunity to sit in your own energy and look at what's working and what's not working. Now, typically during Mercury retrograde, we hear about all the typical things that come up, including mishaps in communications, breakdowns in various daily matters, including conversations, cars, electronics. The things that we are doing take more time. Details are overlooked. Things are missed. There are misunderstandings and miscommunications. All of those themes are true with a Mercury retrograde, where it's wise to simply give yourself more time, to know that there will be cancellations, there will be delays, there will be things that fall through or you have to reschedule. All of that is the case with Mercury retrograde. But this Mercury retrograde in Taurus, as it applies to what you own, there could be shifts and breakdowns in what you possess. So this could be in your home. This could be appliances, anything from the fridge to the printer to a computer needing attention or needing repairs. It can also be about what you own that has some kind of breakdown, something as simple as a necklace having a broken clasp or your watch needing a repair. So the Taurus energy relates to what we have purchased, what we own, and that energy could come up and get your attention for what you need to take care of during this Mercury retrograde, especially because we've had such significant energy changes that it reverberates out. So it's a bit like when you've shifted and evolved and changed in what you want and what you own, that energy reverberates out into your daily environment and could show you what you no longer need to have in your immediate vicinity. Mercury in Taurus is also an opportunity to look at where your money is being spent and to look at what is happening in your bank accounts, in your statements, whether those are billing statements, credit card statements, anything about where money is going out. And this might even be very applicable for those of you in the US and you have completed your personal taxes and you're looking at the money in your world, the money in your life. So there is something here where the energies bring us back to how we are building and structuring a life that works for us, as well as being very honest with yourself about what doesn't work, what you no longer want, what you no longer need, where you've been stretched too far, where something has become overwhelming or a burden. So cutbacks are strongly featured during this Mercury retrograde so that ultimately you can call all your energy back to you, stabilize it internally, really focus it in. I'm feeling this too as the new ability to ground in or to root in particular parts of your life that you want to flourish. And this Mercury retrograde is important because in the second half of this year, in September more specifically, Jupiter will be in Taurus and is going to retrograde across these same degree points in your chart, meaning we're going to have Jupiter retrograde in Taurus between 15 to 5 degrees, covering the exact same territory as this Mercury retrograde. And yet the Jupiter energy is going to reward you for what you've decided now, what you have realized you don't want, you don't need. You are pruning. You're pruning, cutting back, removing, reducing, simplifying, so that when Jupiter enters into this same territory, you're going to have more that's ready to build, blossom, and bloom based on what you've considered through this period. So it's a very interesting unfolding of energies when you put some pieces together here. So again, going back to how Uranus was in this part of your chart from about 2019 until March of this year. So if you wanted to extend it back to 2019 and all the changes that have unfolded for you in the Taurus areas of your chart, this would be in play. This would be applicable. This is especially important if you have planets or points between 5 to 15 degrees of Taurus. So that could be your Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, any planet here that you have between 5 and 15 degrees of Taurus has undergone a significant life change since 2019 because of that Uranus energy dramatically changing something for you, and in a way that could have been very uncomfortable and destabilizing, but also ultimately liberating you, freeing you, setting you free from perhaps an unconscious comfort zone or a limitation or something that you were not ready to move into or to step into. But then Uranus came through everything up in the air and said the change is happening. And by the way, there's no going back to what that previous version was. So Uranus in Taurus creates very significant, drastic life changes. But since Uranus is not returning to this part of your chart, there's now a calming of the energies, the calm after the storm, or perhaps even the freedom from a previous version of your life that was not truly who you are. And that is something that Uranus will deliver. Uranus will deliver you to your authentic nature, to what matters to you now, to activate something deeper within you so that you can see the bigger picture of your life. So now this Mercury retrograde is coming across this territory, and I'm getting the visual of an iron. So you have a wrinkly shirt, right? Well, now this Mercury retrograde is the iron. Let's smooth it out. Let's make this work better based on where you're at. Let's think it through. Give yourself some time. Sit in this. Really consider what is important to you now. And as you do so, then we're going to see Jupiter enter Taurus, which actually occurs on May 16th, 2023. And Jupiter enters Taurus and is going to support what you are building and developing, what is inspiring you, what you want to create, and how you want to move the energy forward. So there can be some really beneficial developments from this Mercury retrograde that connect to not only what you have already been required to change in your life, where the universe said, this life change is occurring. It's happening ultimately for your best and highest good. Even though it can feel chaotic and scary at times, it's ultimately meant to liberate you as well as awaken you to more of what you want, to more of what's possible, because that Uranus in Taurus also required you to dig deeper into your self-worth, into your self-love, into standing strong in your full energy with a new understanding of your value and what you want, and to live from that place. And I'm seeing this as a pillar of light coming down, surrounding the body, and bringing in these downloads of consciousness that are meant to connect you with a higher pulsing frequency of self-love. and to know that you're worth it. You are worth having the life that you want, the dreams that you're holding. You are able to create that and to manifest that. And Taurus, being the first earth sign, a fixed earth sign, is where you also deeply connect to what you're ready to manifest next in your life. And yeah, it's been crazy and wild, and a lot of things had to go. And so that could be part of the after effects at times, is that you have this understanding of everything that had to leave because it wasn't energetically connected to this new higher self-love frequency that we can embody and live from, that we can source our energy from now going forward. So the shakeups happened. Now this Mercury retrograde is coming in and giving you some things to think about, to really understand that it's okay to move forward with a deep connection to your best and highest good, as well as a higher connection to your self-love that is not based on anyone else. It has nothing to do with anybody else's opinions or thoughts or feedback or where they want you to go or what they want you to say or what they expect from you. And this was certainly part of the dance we were doing, because when Uranus was in Taurus, it was receiving 4 squares from Saturn in Aquarius, which is about our connections, responsibilities, and commitments to something bigger than us, which can certainly have been the people around you that you were associated with, that you worked for, people in your family, and your friends, and your culture, whatever it might have been. But now Saturn has moved on. And in fact, Saturn is in Pisces and is supporting this Mercury retrograde. So I feel like we're in this beautiful, I was going to say bubble, but it also feels like a fortress. And it's interesting because I kept getting this visual of castle gates closing, castle gates being shut down. And I didn't exactly get it. I didn't know what that meant. Then I found myself standing in an 11th century castle. Then my son brought home this 3D castle that he built at school. Then we went on a school field trip to this place called Medieval Times, which is an 11th century castle as well. So I'm like, okay, got it. I'm getting the answer here that part of this Mercury retrograde is fortifying your energy. And I'm interpreting that castle to mean a fortress of personal energy, that it represents what you have inside. And that, yes, it can have a very strong, tough barrier with high walls, and it's meant to stand on its own. It's meant to be majestic, regal, something that just really makes a statement. And I'm feeling like part of what we're looking at is, what do we want to construct internally that really gives us a grounding, that really allows us to root in and plant something that matters to us without interference. And that's part of what it feels like with the castle gates closing, is that no interference, to shut down or step away from what is distracting, what is not serving you, what is taking you away from your priorities or what you really want to develop and build now. It feels like this energy brings us back into center, brings us back to ourselves, to trust your own answers, to trust what you are really wanting for your life, to understand that that is part of how you are honoring your own journey and your own process now. And it requires pulling away from external energies that can be too much. And sometimes we don't know it's too much. So there can be a requirement for solitude. during this Mercury retrograde. Time to just consider and sit with some things, look at your choices or your decisions, reconsider, reprioritize. With every retrograde, we pull in the RE words, but it also means to relax. And that feels strong in this particular Mercury retrograde in Taurus. This energy doesn't interact with very many planets at all, meaning this particular Mercury retrograde will make a sextile to Saturn in Pisces for the second time on May 12th, and then again on May 18th. And then it also makes a sextile to Venus in Cancer on May 12th, and that's it. So this Mercury is traveling by himself in this retrograde territory. He's traveling by himself in his own fortress, in his own castle, listening to himself, seeking out solitude, understanding the bigger changes that have unfolded for him since 2019. And understanding what he wants to put energy towards, so that when Jupiter moves into Taurus and Jupiter covers this same territory, there are opportunities for beautiful growth. And that is something that Taurus also brings about. Taurus is about how we have prepared for what we want to plant and develop, what we're going to do with the bounty of the crop or with whatever comes up from the earth, but whatever arises from us that is based on our authenticity and our creativity. Especially when it's coupled with our beautiful frequencies of self-love and self-value, that I want to do this thing, I want to build this, I want to invest in this, I want to create this. So there's something here where the energies could feel like you're coming back to center. You're coming back to knowing yourself at this time in your journey, knowing what matters to you, knowing what you want, and allowing that to be enough. Again, when you get the visualization of a castle and the strong walls and feeling like there's a lot you can do or build on your own, how does that feel for you? Does that motivate you? Does that inspire you? What comes up? Maybe it feels like it's too big or overwhelming. Maybe you don't know what to do next. This Mercury retrograde is going to help you with that. It's going to bring you back to what is simple and basic. And that's another thing to keep in mind here, is that the Taurus energy excels with simplicity. And if there's been too much circulating all around you, if there has been too many energies, too many distractions, interferences, too much stuff, this is where you might want to push it all away, just shove it off the cliff and come back to what is really needed in this moment and right now. It's also important to note that others could have this same energy requirement right now, where they need more time to process. They want to be left alone. They don't want to interact or socialize or hang out or go out. There could also be something you're picking up energetically where it's best to honor that, to honor the silence, to honor what you need to sit with. And the Taurus energy does not want to be rushed. Do not rush the Taurus. Do not require fast change or an immediate answer. Also, don't even think about an ultimatum, because the Taurus energy will not respond to that, will not engage in that, and will possibly not be heard from again, because that would be a way to force an answer or force a response. This is a time to let things be. This is a time to allow whatever you're feeling or sensing to speak for itself, so that you can tune into it and hear it. What is the need? And that could be a powerful question to ask yourself. What is the need? What am I needing right now that maybe I didn't realize was coming through, or I was too distracted or too busy to hear it? What do I need in my life now and going forward that I want to continue to develop and grow, which will certainly be the case with that upcoming journey of Jupiter in Taurus? Jupiter retrograde in Taurus will start on September 4th at 15 degrees of Taurus and last until the very end of this year, until December 31st. So that means that we're going to see Jupiter hanging out in this part of your chart for 4 months at the end of 2023, basically September until the end of the year. And whatever you decide now is what you'll be further developing and reworking as 2023 comes to a close. So this can be a beautiful, supportive intention where you're understanding what you want, what you need, and you're also aware of what you're ready to commit to invest in, and to grow, because it's going to be beautiful when Jupiter enters the space. And Jupiter makes things easier. It makes them more abundant. It expands the energy. It also can show us when it moves into Taurus what we truly want and value that can show up because we've been holding the space for that development to occur. So if you feel like this part of your life has undergone very big, drastic changes, again, since 2019 until the beginning of 2023, you could feel like you're sitting in a holding pattern and maybe it feels empty. Maybe you're just sitting in something that's been cleared out or you want to clear it out. Maybe you're just sitting in something in your life and you don't know what you want next. Well, this could be a period of time that gives you insights and clarity, but it's going to be soft. It's going to be quiet and whispers. It's going to be energy that doesn't come through and yell in your face, but it can still be very evident because you're tapped into what you want, what you need, and also that understanding that you're worth it and that the universe is going to support you in moving forward when you're really grounded into that level of your self-love. This is also a Mercury retrograde to take a break. And that could be easier said than done since it's occurring during eclipse season. But there's energies here where you could have the thought that I don't want to deal with that. I'm not going to focus on that. I'm not going to put time and energy towards that. Like you could have some very clear no's. No, that's not worth it. No, thank you. No, goodbye. No, that's from the past. There could be something here that you're also realizing maybe you've been on autopilot or there have been things you've just been doing and you've been going through the motions and I got to take care of this. And on Wednesday I have that meeting and on Thursday I do this. And then there could be something that just sort of strikes you like a lightning strike where you realize, I don't want this to be my life. I don't want this to keep being the things I do week in and week out. I've been there, done that. I'm ready for a positive shift. I'm ready to call in more of what supports me, that I enjoy, that I love. Taurus is also about pleasure. It's about what we do on a daily basis that makes us happy, including perhaps a really good breakfast or really enjoying your garden or a space that brings you life, that just feels like it has that home energy to it. So this is about looking at the quality of your life. Does that support you? Is it reflecting who you are? And maybe you don't do some type of grand overhaul and you're not looking to renovate everything, but you're just ready to make some small changes that make a difference to you. So look at where the quality of your life can be upgraded, even in small ways, even in simple ways, like catching yourself mid-thought in something that you don't want to keep thinking about, or reprogramming something that you've always believed or you always thought would happen, and then realizing, I don't want that kind of energy in my brain. I don't want that in my consciousness anymore. I'm going to start thinking about this differently. And it's even those small shifts that can make a big difference. So this is a Mercury retrograde to come back to center, check in with who you are now, with what you need, with what you want, giving yourself time and space to plant that energy in, to root it in, Also, allowing yourself to prune and remove what you no longer want to focus on so that you can be energetically clearer in what matters to you now. And honestly, you could also just feel very lazy with this energy. You could just feel worn out. You need a break. You don't want to think too much. You don't want to do too much. The energy during this Mercury retrograde is more passive and reflective. It is also about internalizing and sitting with things without needing to force it or make it happen. It's very feminine energy that allows you to tap into more of your intuition and what your soul is whispering to you. And that's also what you could be feeling or sensing, is that you need more time alone, more solitude to truly hear what is coming through, what you're feeling, what you want to trust, and also looking at where it connects in your energetic body. I'm getting this visual that you could feel something coming in or coming through, and you could check in and say, okay, where does this connect for me? Is it connecting at my root chakra, my heart chakra, my third eye chakra? It's almost like you could feel these energies coming in, these messages, the softer messages coming in are actually coming into something that is new within you. And that's part of the cycle we've been in that I've been discussing as well, is how we've been urged to have some new starts, to do something in a new way. We have new spirit guides coming in, new energies, new levels of consciousness are very powerful right now. And we're being asked to do things differently. But at the same time, we can be exhausted, overwhelmed, overworked, and we just need a break. And if that's what you're feeling, this Mercury retrograde also supports that, where you lean back, put your feet up on the couch. The only effort you want to exert is lifting up the remote. That's all you can do. That's all the energy you have. And if that's the case, that's beautiful and perfect. That's right on time because you're trusting your energy. You're trusting what you need. So I feel like the best way to work with this Mercury retrograde in Taurus, especially during eclipse season, is to check in with what you need to take care of that supports your feminine energies, that supports going within and reflecting. Again, internalizing, giving yourself some solitude to process, to observe. Maybe it's even observing how something has played out for you. Maybe it's looking back in hindsight. Maybe there's things you're still detangling or moving through that have been complicated and intense. This Mercury retrograde in Taurus helps you to simplify. Get it back to what's essential. What is really essential? What's really important? Start from there. Go there. Really go into what that is for you, and then make your decisions from that place. And as this Mercury in Taurus interacts 2 more times with that Saturn in Pisces energy, you're going to see what is complete, what you have moved through, and Saturn in Pisces will remove it. And it's a very gentle removal. It's about ease. It's about allowing something to gracefully be complete. It's no longer worth your time, energy, or attention. It's allowing things to pass through. And those sextiles to Saturn and Pisces will occur May 12th and May 18th. Which is right before the Taurus new moon on May 19th and 20th. This is a beautiful time to relax your nervous system, to relax your mind, to not put too much into where your head has been spinning or where you have felt anxiety. Take care of your body, take care of your nervous system, and really sink into more of that trust and that beautiful support you have from your spirit guide and your team, that everything that's essential will be taken care of. It will come up in front of you. You will understand what is important. And then you might be surprised at everything else that leaves or falls away or is no longer needed because it doesn't really connect with you anymore. At least maybe not in a healthy way, a loving way, a respectful way. And those are some standards to check in on for yourself, to make sure that everything you're calling in and connecting with loves you, cherishes you, admires you, respects you. If you have that as your basic standards and boundaries, that right there is a beautiful fence of energy, a fence of energy that says, in order to enter this space, to get my attention or to come through the gate, this is an energy requirement. It must be loving, kind, respectful, honest, trustworthy, whatever that might be for you. So I guess that's the visual I like to leave you with, is going back to this metaphor with the castle, is what are you constructing and building energetically that supports you now, where you can have that strong energy of self-trust, self-respect, personal integrity. That's what you're going to put energy into. That's how you're going to live your life. And that's how you are now constructing and building what is allowed in your energy, what is allowed in your world, and how it can stand on its own. It can also be relied upon. It's strong. It's real. And it could even be what has been built on the same land or territory where you previously experienced that chaos or big life changes of Uranus and Taurus. So again, this is a time to come back to center, listen to yourself, trust what you want next, and to know that that will be supported, especially in the second half of this year. But make sure you're very honest with yourself and you're also believing that anything is possible, which is certainly the case when you partner with spirit and when you're really activating what you want and desire from a deep well of self-love. This Mercury retrograde, again, is going to work with you more personally. If you have planets or points in Taurus between 5 and 15 degrees, also working with you more personally if you have planets or points in the fixed signs. So between 5 and 15 degrees of Leo, 5 and 15 degrees of Scorpio, 5 and 15 degrees of Aquarius. If you have planets in the earth signs of Virgo and Capricorn, between 5 and 15 degrees. This Mercury retrograde is going to help you in renovating, reconsidering, and transforming something that might be a little bit clunky at first, but then the energy will smooth out and things will click and come together. Now we go into this Mercury retrograde even more in my 2023 Soul Growth Astrology program. I know many of you are already in that course, so be sure and sign back in if you want to review what's happening for you in your chart, or if you want to look at these energies again or in a different light. You can also still purchase the program. I'll put the link below the podcast, because not only does it talk about this Mercury retrograde, but we have 2 more Mercury retrogrades coming up in 2023, and they will all be in the earth signs. So this is one of the patterns with Mercury retrograde, is that it moves through the same element. So earlier this year it was Mercury retrograde in Capricorn. Now it's in Taurus. Next up will be Virgo. Then again, we'll have another Capricorn Mercury retrograde as well, before Mercury will move into the fire signs in 2024 and have all retrogrades in the fire signs. So I hope this information supports you in understanding what might be coming up for you, as well as how to work with the energy with an understanding of your power, your choices, and your light. Thank you so much for being here and for joining me. It's always a joy to connect with you through this language and world of astrology. I'll be back on Wednesday for another live show. I do an episode for you every Monday and Wednesday. I've been doing this podcast for 11 years now, and it continues to be a joy and something I really look forward to. So thank you for joining me. You can find out more about all of my astrology programs and offerings over at mollymccord.online. And I'm wishing you a beautiful Mercury retrograde journey. I'll see you back here soon.